Hi YouTube. It is Tuesday morning early, 9th of May, and we've got some problems, or maybe not problems, but we've got some concerns. It was pointed out in that last video that these braces right here, these gusset braces, gussets, whatever you want to call them, are not supposed to be on a 72. So we might not have a 72 subframe. That's my thinking anyway, because I know the car was wrecked at some point in its life. The driver's side fender is new. You can see that there was some damage to this part of the cowling, but they obviously reused it, so I don't know how bad the accident was. It was obviously bad enough to replace the fender. I don't know, it could have been bad enough to jack up the frame. So if we've got a different model subframe, main concern is the new parts that we've been buying. Is everything going to match? Is everything going to work? Russ, everything that I could kind of gather from the photo is that number is supposed to be right in here. We'll keep looking as we get it cleaned up and see if we can find any kind of date code anywhere. And if anybody else knows that maybe on the later, the 75, 6, 7 subframes, if they were stamped somewhere else, they could have started stamping them differently than the 72s. I just don't know. We're going to give it another look this morning and see what we can find, if we can find some numbers. So YouTube, that's where we at. We kind of in a little bit of a conundrum, and as we try to decipher and figure out what we might have here, we'll definitely bring you along and keep you posted. I'm not worried about matching numbers and things like that, YouTube. This is just a project, something I've wanted to do for a long time. So it's just going to be a driver car. Nothing, no shows, no competitions with it or anything like that. Just a car to drive and kick around and have fun with. So even if this is not the frame, and it appears not to be, we're not overly concerned about that part of it. Main thing is that the parts that we're buying, that we have bought, will work. So again, any information, any comments, steering me in the correct direction with this thing. Like I say, the car was complete. The car was put together. The fenders, the fender wells on the inside, under the hood and all, everything was in place. Gap alignment was good on everything. Nothing really stood out when I was taking the car apart as to this might not be original to the car or correct to the car. I mean, everything was bolted up and appeared to be in place. This old core radiator support, I mean, it looked like it'd been there all its life to me. I mean, which is not to say that somebody didn't take this old rusty one off and put it back on a different subframe. That's very possible, and it appears to be the case. So, as we have more, the continuing saga at the Rusty Metal Garage, we'll bring you along, YouTube. All right, guys, Jeff Lindsay in the garage, 11:30 p.m. Tuesday night, and we are still trying to decipher and decide and make up our mind what we want to do, how we're going to do it, what we need to do, what we should do. after some thought and some conversation with a great guy, Russ, Double R, we've come to the conclusion that we've probably got somewhere around a 77 model subframe. But we can't locate any date coding or anything on here. So I've kind of thought about this thing all night at work, and I'll tell you where I'm at, and we'll go from there. We'll take all the comments we can get, and just any kind of advice on what to do, how to do it. And but I kind of got my mind made up which way I'm gonna go. We just see who's with me. But we did some detective work, if you will, and we think we figured out exactly what went on, maybe. These pieces being done like this, the tail end part, the mount part of this subframe, when I got this car, it was all completely put together. The only thing that was missing on the car as far as sheet metal was the hood. Everything else was in place, bolted up, as I saw, like it was supposed to be. But not knowing, not being savvy to the situation, I definitely overlooked some things, and I'm beginning to piece together a situation where somebody had this vehicle and knew what was wrong with it, probably how bad it was, probably knew the history on it, about it being wrecked, about the subframe being the wrong subframe for the car. And I'm thinking that they did what they could to put it back together, slapped a coat of silver paint on it, and turned it quick as they could, because they knew they had something that they didn't want. So, and here's my theory on the car. The car was obviously wrecked. More than likely that frame in the front end there on the driver's side was probably damaged to the point to where they got another subframe. And this subframe would not fit properly. Now, from this area, from the front mount part forward, I think everything is fine. Everything was bolted up. Fender wells, the front fenders, the core support, radiator, all that stuff was in the car. The valence panels, the header panel, all that was there and appeared to be okay as far as alignment and things like that. On the back end of this car, the earlier models, the 70 maybe through 72 or 3 or whatever, this rear mount hole is about 1 inch from the end, and that's what Russ and I discussed. That's how his is. On the later model subframes, that hole's about 4 inches or so on center from the tail end. Now, here we go. We're finding out what's going on. There's a reason that this is cut up the way it is. And it's because when they put this subframe on that 72F body, those back holes would not match up. They're off. I had originally cut these pieces out, made some new pieces to go in because of the rust damage here, and obviously because of this, not knowing why this was here. But now we figured out what we think actually has gone on. So anyway, I cut out new pieces to weld in, and I was going to redo my holes in this area, which would have been wrong and would not have worked. Here we go, we're catching up. If you take the piece that I cut off, I'd actually thrown these in the scrap bin at work. So just kind of taking a shot in the dark, I went and got them out. And I wanted to look and see if my theory was right, and it is, YouTube. What they did is they cut this channel and they bolted through this channel. And I've got proof of that. There's the proof right there. You can see the head of the bolt or the head of a washer where that was mounted, and it was because the subframe is wrong for the car. These holes would not work. They would not line up. So therefore, whoever had the car, and this is what you get into, I'm assuming, with these old cars. And you know, I didn't do my homework on this car because it was a gift. I didn't go, which I mean, I wouldn't have noticed all of this from the onset. I would have been happy to have gotten the car because at the time we got it, or at the time I got it, it didn't look all that bad to me. Not knowing, again, not knowing, not crawling up under it and looking to see what all was rusted out. And YouTube, this car was on the ground when I pulled this bolt out of here. I got up under there, put a jack up under it, and there was the one bolt on this side, as well as the two there and over there holding this subframe in. And that's the kind of shoddy crap that I've run into all over this car. So, my thinking and my measurements that I did earlier this morning, I'm thinking that I can replace these pieces and measure from here to where this hole should be, which will be about 31.5 on center. If you just pull diagonal from here straight back to here, about 31.5, I'll make sure before I do anything. My hope is that from this point, I mean, obviously from here back is just nothing. There's nothing there. There's nothing that attaches to that. It's not going to be in the way of anything that I can see looking up underneath the car. So, boy, we've got stretched out here and got to talking about what we think, but we got proof. And what they appeared to have done is started to do the same thing and just quit with it once they got that one in on the other side, because they did not finish cutting this out and rolling it up out of the way and shoving a bolt up through a cut piece of subframe. So we're running out of stuff to find surprises on, but we hadn't stopped finding them yet. We found them all over the body for you folks that have followed this. The more we cut out, the more we found wrong with it, but we got the body in pretty good shape. From the floor pans to the quarters to trunk pan, cross rail, tail light panel, package tray, deck filler panel, all that stuff. So it's just been one thing after another, and we ran into a big one here, but we think, we hope that we may come out of it okay. We've definitely got to check our bushings and see if they're going to work in the upper and lower A-arms. We might have to get more. We might have to get different bushings. We're going to have to check them. Ball joints, bushings, and so on. So we think the subframe's going to be usable, YouTube, but buyer beware. Buyer beware. Do your homework, check them out good before you buy one. Make sure that you're not getting into something like I'm into. So we've gone on for about 10 minutes babbling, and we're going to try to make it work, YouTube. We're going to do our best. Cross your fingers.